I'm Dr. Paul Drouin with Dr. Goswami, and we are pursuing our conference and lesson on creative evolution. And this lesson was very interesting about feelings, and I'm sure we are opening a chapter where many can question in some way, because everybody think animals have feelings, and even plants have feelings, and of course we have feeling, but it seems it's a different there is quality in the feelings, or there is some intensity. But what about this experience that they have done with plants? If they, you probably remember that people were walking and sending love to the plant, and they grow faster than the other. That you ignore, or you don't send them any kind of emotion or feelings. So how would you interpret that?
Well, that is very easy, because we have the capacity, unity consciousness, and so vital energies are plants are receptive to. So if we send good vital energies to plants with intention, which correlates us with plants. And the important thing to recognize is that the unity consciousness is only potentiality. So first we have to correlate ourselves. So how do we correlate? Correlation may be quite simple. Just by being in the proximity of the plant, may be able to correlate this. The intention correlates this, that I want to make this plant healthy.
And you create a movement in the morphogenetic field.
Then you create a movement in the morphogenetic field yourself by eliciting maybe past memories that will elevate your heart chakra, and then by simple gesture you can transfer that heart chakra energy to the plant. For example, the Qigong master showed me that if we just activate the heart chakra by feeling good, feeling love, and then just simply just throw, like we are throwing a flower, throwing an object at the plant, this will make the plant grow faster. Actual measurements will show that the plant is...
Absolutely. Scientific studies have shown that there is a difference in the growth. And then you can even do it at distance. I know Lynn McDougall done some experiments.
That's a little bit more tricky, because the correlation part, so one has to agree that some sort of protocol has to be established before we make such blanket statements, a protocol that will correlate. It's one thing that we can correlate with a human being, the experiments of distance healing, where the prayer groups just look at a name and told the place where the person is in, and that itself correlates with the person, but the person has healing intention. Every human person has healing intention. So for human beings, correlation is easier. To correlate with a plant may not be that easy. This is why some of these experiments don't succeed and then give us a bad rap.
But so if there is a visual, it will help.
Visual will help, okay. Hearing will help, some sort of sensory signal, some sort of local interaction, before we can say that we are correlated. But we must correlate before we do any of this energy transfer experiment. Otherwise, we may end up in ambiguous results.
So we agree that plant have feeling.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, it's beyond even
animals,
remember the
human
experiments?
being. No question about that. Is what is the quality of feeling? This is where we are opening like a discussion. Or
yeah. Also, the simple question: why do certain plants heal us? Plant healing medicine has been known since millennia. But absolutely. Why do certain plants heal us? If we recognize it through molecules, the proposition sort of is a bit suspicious, because, yes, it is true that doctors have managed to revive some molecules. Plant chemistry is a huge part of pharmaceuticals. That is true. But how much plant they have to convert into medicine, to get a little medicine, you have to really extract it from a huge amount of plants. So molecules just does not cut it, I think. What cuts it much better is that
When there's
plants of vital energy
vital energy make the difference.
that we need to heal, and is providing that vital energies. And so Chinese medicine is largely herbal medicine, Ayurvedic medicine is largely herbal medicine. That makes sense.
You open the door to another chapter which is very fascinating, is the feeling related to chakra. But will you so, because I'm also introducing in the course what I call Taoist medicine, and in Taoist medicine there is also emotion or feeling associated with organs. So you will agree that we can do some kind of same relation, with chakra and organ, following this tradition that has recognized. You were looking at chakra, by example, saying security and love and so on. If we look at the 5 element, liver, by example, it will be associated with different anger or wisdom, or bladder with another feeling. Will you agree that these map or this correlation can also been recognized?
I think
How you feel about that?
I have I have written a book, Quantum Doctor, of course, on the connection of Chinese medicines with vital body and all that. And my feeling is that the research in these areas is incomplete. We, for example, never really properly understood the theoretical basis from a modern point of view of the 5-element theory that the ancient people used a lot. That needs to be understood. But something about the Chinese medicine is very good, and again, has to be properly understood, which is the idea that although the organs are pretty much can be pretty much talked about as independent of each other. That is not true of the vital body counterparts of the organ. They are connected. They are connected to meridians. They are connected to passageway for vital energies. And also the idea that these morphogenetic counterparts, the counterparts affect each other in 2 different ways. They can affect in a supportive way, or they can quench the functioning of the other. This idea may have enormous usefulness if we think about it properly.
Yeah, but if we look at the tradition, of course, you have the organ, as you said, you have the meridians, and other tradition will speak about there's a flow of energy along the spine, and this is where you connect the chakras.
Yes, Kundalini and all that.
This is where, accordingly to the tradition, because if we look at the chakras, the same thing. There is, the tradition that will say here the throat is the expression and the heart is love, and the same thing with Taoist medicine, which is, I would say, of course, come from China, so it's Chinese medicine, but it's kind of another tradition, so that every organ can be connected with the meridian that is associated with different type of emotion and so on. So even though there is less research, there is a long tradition based on century of observation.
Yeah, very good empiricism in both systems, but it's a huge challenge from the integrative medicine point of view to connect them up. I would love to see more research, both theoretical and empirical, done to connect up all these things.
I would say if I look, by example, the hammer medicine that has associated some type of cancer with some type of emotion or conflict, you can, let's say, by example, the large intestine, or the colorectal cancer that is connecting back a lack of forgiveness. So we may connect with some scientific observation at that level, where he done not only correlation with the conflict itself, but some brain scan where some typical lesions were associated. So I cannot say there is no research there. But
No. Hammer obviously has done relatively some beautiful correlation by pointing out that conflicts and resolving the conflict is very important. But that of course is a huge thing. I value this work very highly because, the connection of healing and wholeness, but wholeness in what sense? Wholeness in the sense of resolving conflict. So that part of the theory is very much correct. And also, the connection I just made with immune system and immune system rest and love. Love is obviously a major way of resolving conflict. In fact, if you think about it, forgiveness is kind of love, uh, and many other positive emotions can be automatically fulfilled by the presence of love. So love is a huge medicine for the alternative integrative medicine.
Yeah, I
We
would
all
so agree
emphasize
with
love.
that. But where I'm heading now is how we look at health. The concept of health years ago was defined by the absence of disease.
Right.
So where I'm heading now is when we start to speak about this feeling related with organ and chakras, and these feeling has different qualities, that are related with archetype. And because originally we were thinking, oh, you healthy if the organ function physiologically properly function, but now we add in some kind of a quality to the organ, or to the chakra. So I'm going in the sense in terms of full potentiality of an individual. That means not only an optimal function of the organ, but also a full, higher integration of the archetype.
Yes.
So, do you know this? So, and this is where I was presenting the concept of health in terms of, you healthy when you start to get aligned with these archetypal qualities and how they are fully integrated in a mode of higher self. Because if you pick, let's pick an example. You think about the heart. Of course, you have the romantic love, but you have the universal love too. It means that, of course, if you collapse these feelings of these emotions of romantic, it's a level of actualization of the potentiality of this organ. But if you go more toward the self thing, then you get, toward this
Unconditional love.
higher integration.
Yes. Yes, all true, because unconditional love is where you really fully explore the archetype, whereas romantic love, which comes automatically to us, is built in practically. Everybody feels it. If they're very close, they don't, but if they're not a psychopath or sociopath, they do. So it obviously is an entry point. It's an entry point to which even some of the higher animals might have access, or some of the animals even the lower category, like peacocks do a romantic dance to their mate.
Yeah, I saw this this research, very interesting.
So it's very
The
interesting
one
to
that has
speculate.
the best swing and
Right. So one can speculate if they have a little more than what I said earlier, namely this multicellular consciousness. If they have a little bit more, do they have a sort of a beginnings of a self in the body accidentally created, because it's too low in the animal kingdom. The peacock is just a bird, and birds have very little brains. So obviously, to propose that they have a self of any kind that we have, where the heart energy can be fully experienced, that's impossible. That would be outrageous. But maybe they have a little bit of something that goes in, and therefore they are able to do this romantic ritual that humans do. We just need to have enormous studies in this respect. I just wish instead of wasting so much money on genome project and the like, genetic engineering has usefulness, but I think there is not that much usefulness in it anymore. I would like to see more emphasis on vital energies and vital energy technologies, vital energy healings, and ideas of how far down in the animal kingdom we go in seeing some of these powers of vital energy revealed in the condition, because we can then use some of that perhaps in improving our condition, our situation.
And this is why in our curriculum, what I present as evaluation is not a search for disease. I don't deny it's important, but it's a search to see how much this individual has integrate, or how much full potentiality has been actualized. And because you find what you're seeking for, right? And not only that, you come with the tool to restore health. All depend, what you have focus on. If you're just looking for disease and you have a limited way to rebalance, then this is at the end of the day what you will find, or you will lose. But you should start to look at the individual. And I'm looking in the future at the same time, because we were speaking about evolution previously, and evolution this is what it is to go for more complex capacity of representation, expressing the archetypal concept, but we should. This is what for me when I'm doing the evaluation, putting the focus on what has to be done to bring the individual at its optimal function, in terms not only of physiological functioning, but also in terms of actualizing this archetypal concept.
Archetypical representation that is already happening, how can we make it even better? And this is where the focus should be. Focus should be on archetype, whereas we are wasting enormous human energy right now on information processing. Information is the lowest type of processing that a human being is capable of doing. It's just raw data, hardly anything different than that. Meaning is a little bit better. Meaning can be a lot better by using it for creative investigation, and then eventually we investigate the archetypes themselves. So if we go one by one, informational intelligence is the lowest type of intelligence. Today we have made that the highest type by emphasizing IQ, and all that is just information processing. We should try to evaluate meaning processing much more, understanding. But how do you do that? To test understanding, a human being has to be involved. You cannot do it mechanically by a tester like we do with multiple choice questions and stuff. So the whole educational system is geared to testing only the lowest forms of intelligence. To test higher forms of intelligence is hard. And education should open us to higher forms of intelligence. And so this is the challenge.
That's a consequence of a materialistic model of thinking.
Very much so.
And as long we don't introduce subtle energy, deeper understanding,
and we have to introduce back
or consciousness in the...
And the human testing. I mean, today's educational system overwhelming the demands that there are objective tests, there are these questions that are given, which is, test the students' information processing ability. These things are compulsory, practically, for getting accreditation for any institution. But they're foolish because they are testing the individual at the lowest capacity. Higher capacities cannot be tested like that. Does the student understand something? And that's an internal capacity. For judging the understanding, a human being who understands has to test the student. And similarly, even higher than understanding is to see if the student is capable of appreciating purpose.
And what about if the student also has a tool to experiment his inner world? This is what I suggest most of the time to my students. I said, choose something, either meditation or contemplation, or choose a tool that will allow yourself to, in some way, tap in your inner world and start to experience this, consciousness within. Because studying is, as you said, it's not just acquiring process of information, but it's also it should be at the same time awakening
And how much equilibrium are we with our internal ecology? The whole point, the whole emphasis is external behavior. Instead, it should be about how happy am I inside, where I live most of the time. And the purpose of education should be to enhance that happiness so that the person optimally functions even outside. But if the inside is not cleansed up, we emphasize outer hygiene, but we've forgotten about the inner hygiene. If the inner hygiene is not corrected, then just like the outer hygiene is not corrected, we get physical disease. If inner hygiene is not corrected, we get mental problems. And problems with understanding, problem with making representations of the archetypes. So really what we need is a reform on our education in a major way if we introduce biology in the oriented towards consciousness. So biology within consciousness becomes very different than the machine biology that we have today, and very different picture of us. And we need to be completely aware of it.
So let's title this pro-consciousness biology, right?
Yes. Yes, we have to, because otherwise we never will have a pro-conscious medicine. And medicine is directly connected with our health and mental health, and this should attract the attention of everyone. If biology is somewhat theoretical, medicine is not theoretical. It's very
I
practical.
totally agree with you. We just explore the world of feelings and archetypal values, but the student has also to start and explore within himself, where is it with all this. And we should have more and more, as you said, it's difficult to evaluate because it's so subjective. But if the healer, the doctor is entangled with the client, the measure in which he's integrate himself in these higher archetypal qualities, more he will be able to bring the client there, or the patient there. Absolutely. When we start to understand this relation, a patient, healer, observer, object, it's very, it's also a responsibility to raise your own level of awareness, right?
Yeah, level of being.
Level of being.
If a healer is not healed, then the healing that the healer performs will be compromised. Of course, this question does not arise in machine healing, because there the doctor is not healing, it's the machine which is diagnosing, and then you are giving machine procedures like drugs and radiation and surgery. These are all mechanical procedures, you're prescribing that. So the performance of the doctor is relatively minor. In fact, doctor probably will be replaced by a robot, within a few decades. Allopathic doctor. But
allopathic, yeah.
Yeah, but for alternative medicine, the challenge is enormous, because here we are talking about internal experiences, we are talking about internal hygiene, we are talking about diseases that are caused by the lack of internal hygiene and lack of optimal performance because of inherent conflicts that exist that affects the mental and the physical health eventually. So here we cannot ignore the physician's responsibility in having at least a better health than the patient that he or she is dealing with. If one is not better educated, we don't allow that person to be a teacher, right? That's the minimum requirement. You have a degree first, then you can infer. So if you are not yourself physically healthy or mentally healthy, how can you treat someone who is?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Dr. Goswami, and you will certainly be encouraged that part of our curriculum we have had the tool for meditation to explore these qualities. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Find out more and enroll in a degree program today at quantumuniversity.com.